The biggest fight card of the century came to an end without any shockers coming from the fights themselves. During fight week, however, an unprecedented 2 fighters had to be replaced. On the night of the grand arrivals, Shakur Stevenson's gut feeling became a reality as Kid Austin didn't show up to the arrivals, and later posted a photo in the hospital and confirmed that he would be unable to make the fight. Just when the boxing world had come to terms with his replacement, undefeated upset artist Josh Padley still putting on a good fight, Daniel Dubois' team had announced that he would be unable to make the fight due to an illness that we still haven't heard more about. With this last speed bump out of the way before the event, the first fight in the small unpacked arena was Joshua Buatsi, coming off 2 big wins last year over unbeaten Dan Aziz and Willie Hutchinson, versus Callum Smith, whose only 2 defeats of his career were to Canelo and Beterbiev. The fight started quite even, but Smith's strength and experience was enough to outclass Buatsi for a unanimous decision victory. Buatsi's first loss still leaves him with many options in a division full of quality opponents. Anthony Yarde would be a very exciting fight, as the two have been mentioning each other, and it would be a fantastic domestic rivalry. Smith has had numerous big title fights, and I don't think that he's quite earned a shot at Bivol or a rematch with Beterbiev. But the next big fighter, David Benavidez, would definitely make for a fair and entertaining next fight. The next big fight of the night was 41-year-old Zhilei Zhang, looking to build momentum after his big win over Deontay Wilder, and Zhang's opponent was the undefeated and barely tested Agit Kabayel. In the fight, Kabayel cemented why he should be at the top by showing tremendous bodywork that would eventually stop Big Bang Zhang. If Zhang doesn't choose to retire, I think a perfect last fight for him would be against fellow 41-year-old Derek Chisora. Not only would these two styles make for an explosive meeting, but a simultaneous retirement fight for the pair would make for a great build-up. Meanwhile, the win for Kabayel is significantly more meaningful as the 32-year-old still has a long career ahead. As for the most relevant opponent for him in the near future, I think Anthony Joshua would be a great step up. Another option could be to fight the 20-year-old Moses Itauma if Moses Itauma feels ready for it. The third fight saw Vergil Ortiz test himself at a higher level in his new division as he fought Israil Madrimov, who had just come off a very competitive fight with pound-for-pound great Terence Crawford. Madrimov was very elusive for the first half of the fight, making it difficult for Ortiz to succeed offensively. But as the rounds went on, Madrimov's gas tank and unpredictability significantly dropped, making it possible for Ortiz to have a lot more offensive success and pick up a unanimous decision victory. Madrimov will need a big win to put him up with the elites again, and an ideal fighter who may need the same fight is Jamal Ironman Charlo, who has had only 4 fights in the last 5 years, with his last fight in 2023 ending in defeat to a much larger Canelo Alvarez. Even with this record, Charlo is the WBO champion in recess with a 35-2-1 record. Vergil Ortiz, on the other hand, has a stacked list of choices. He's the WBC interim champion, meaning the next opponent that makes sense is the WBC champion, the towering inferno Sebastian Fundora. The fight that came next saw WBC middleweight champion Carlos Adames face the undefeated 25-year-old prospect Hamzah Sheeraz, who was taking a massive leap up in quality of opposition he's fought. Adames's experience and size showed in the fight as he was having a lot more offensive success through the fight. Sheeraz showed good footwork and ring IQ to avoid massively damaging shots and even had moments of good offense himself. While many thought Adames's aggression was enough to edge the fight, the judges ended up calling it a draw. The best fight for these two would be a rematch, as Adames will want to avenge this blemish on his record, and there isn't much sense in giving Sheeraz a shot at a different champion after a draw in his first title shot. In the next fight, we had a late replacement for Kid Austin, Josh Padley, taking a massive step up, leaving his day job as an electrician to fight 3-division champion Shakur Stevenson on only a week's notice. The level and preparation difference did show significantly in the fight, but what showed just as significantly was the heart and grit of Padley to look for success all fight against one of the best defenses in the sport. Shakur showed a masterful enough performance to move on and hopefully get the fight that he and the fans want against Gervonta Tank Davis. Padley has admitted that he realizes he needs a lot more experience and would like to fight at a lower level, but he's proved that he is near the elite level after this performance and his last one against Mark Chamberlain, and I think a fight with Frank Martin, who has only lost to Tank, is just the right kind of test for Padley. The final appetizer before the main event was another one that saw a late replacement, and in this case it was an even later and much bigger replacement. When I say bigger, I don't only mean by name, as Martin Bakole flew into the country on 3 days' notice, weighing a colossal 315 pounds. Joseph Parker may have been the easiest to forgive if he'd lost in an upset, But as the second round came, it was apparent that Bakole was in no shape at all for the fight and was knocked out with a strange shot to the top of the head. Bakole was a hugely avoided fighter, and if anything, this loss may help him find opponents more easily. He may be in line for an Anthony Joshua fight or even an Agit Kabayel. Joseph Parker did more than what we expected, and was quite frankly robbed of an opportunity to fast track his way to fight Alexander Usyk. If he doesn't get that fight next, he definitely should get a shot at Daniel Dubois. The main event was as close and elite as the first fight. Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol went to war again and showed why they are at the top of the sport. The fight was very back and forth, but Bivol started and ended the fight being far busier and more aggressive than he was before, ultimately earning him a majority decision victory over the only man to have ever defeated him. Needless to say, the third fight of this trilogy will be the biggest fight for either of them by far. But if that doesn't happen right away, David Benavidez vs Artur Beterbiev would be a spectacular show of hard-hitting monsters, while Callum Smith vs Dmitry Bivol would make for a great clash of styles. Of course, you could argue that Benavidez does deserve the title shot first. If you think that should be the case, or have any better matchups for any of these fighters from the historic card, please let me know in the comments. Also, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, please do consider subscribing and leaving a like on the videos. It helps us tremendously. Until next time.